Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode, and actually a very special episode of The Grey Line, where we're all right and wrong at the same time.
At the same time.
There we go. Thank you very much. And enjoying as you
You
can.
know I have that.
No. I know. Sorry. like because of that, as you can hear, I am joined here by a very special guest in this situation because he is a very knowledgeable person when it comes to the topic at hand, as you can see on the screen. Please welcome to my friend Anthony Spark. And that's his username, that not being a bitch.
No, you're still being a bitch.
Oh no,
Let's
I
be
am a
honest
bitch,
here,
but,
because
but this time I'm not being malicious.
you're just using that as an excuse. You're just not being malicious. You just said, screw it. His username is Spark. I'm gonna actually throw it in his face without actually meaning it in a
All right, but as one of the major things to talk about, like how has your month been, Anthony? How has everything been? How has life been? It's been a while since we had you here on the podcast.
It has been a long time, hasn't it? I can't remember the last time. I think it was like January where I was on the Green Line last time.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh damn! If that's the case, man, I really missed out. But it is because, like weekends and stuff, I've been going out with friends. Like every Saturday, usually I'm hanging out with friends. Fridays are days to like relax and stuff. I mean, hell, I should be streaming right now. But the show must go on. I got plenty of time to do streams later. And Sundays are really my days that, like I also kind of unwind. I don't know, like there's just a lot of things that have been keeping me from being fine, but I really wanted to make time today and stuff, even though I was still out with someone.
Hmm.
Because like especially with the top, like it was something where it's just like, okay, I can't miss this. Like I need to do this because it's something that I really want to do. So, um, said, work has been a major factor in that as well because it's not a normal 9 to 5 job. It's a 5 in the morning
Yeah, I was like,
to 1:30
it's a 9 to
job.
5, but not exactly AM to PM. It's not
Yeah, it is AM to PM,
more like PM to AM.
more or less. Yeah, because yeah, having like because usually whenever I have to go to bed, it's usually around like 7:30 to 8, and that does carry over into the weekends. My body's like so used to going to bed, even like right now. That's why I'm drinking a G Fuel right now because like I want to stay up. I want to like as possible. Like I don't want to fall asleep on you because I feel like I would if I didn't have it with me.
Well, don't worry. Again, this is exactly why I went with this topic because, again, this is one of your favorite. For those that don't know it, has been a conversation in several streams and other videos. Like
And a few debates. Let's be real here.
Anthony is a huge Square Enix fan, specifically Kingdom Hearts, but Final Fantasy VII is like your shit by this point. We can kind of say that.
No, Final Fantasy VII is my shit. Like, let's just say, intrigued with a story and stuff, Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy VII and stuff. I go like really good. Like, you already know that. Like at this point, if you want the entire lore of Kingdom Hearts or Final Fantasy VII, I could probably explain it in a good enough sense to where like I could fully explain why Vanitas looks like Sora and why Ventus looks like Roxas without too confusing.
But,
Because at the same time I still get confused, so I have to try to explain it as if I'm not. I don't know it. So for Ventus looks like Roxas, or Roxas looks like Ventus, is because, well, Ventus connected his heart with Sora when he was 10.
all right. With that said,
Easy
Final
answer.
Fantasy VII.
But we're not going there.
I mean, you do love Final Fantasy like a lot, right? I mean, you not only you have played the main titles, but you're actually one of the very few people that I know that actually give a shit about the Dissidia. But because of the lore and characters from the Final Fantasy universe, and okay,
Yeah.
like meanwhile. like you have played the original, you have played the remake, you have played all like Crisis Core, or at least you are familiar with Crisis Core, and that PS2 servers game that is about Vincent, but I'm not quite sure how that one works. Um, like I know it's a shooter, but again,
Dirge of Cerberus is okay. I don't have too much experience with that game. Dirge of Cerberus is a picked up when I was like 12, 13.
mhm.
It was one of my first M-rated games because actually that was my first Final Fantasy game. Now that I think about it, yeah, it was Dirge of Cerberus.
Not a good
It,
place
it
to
was it,
start.
it was it was a let's just say that. And um I didn't get into it. Like I picked it up, played it for about 7 hours, and then after 5 months I finally returned the game because it was just not getting played.
Yeah.
Um, Nowadays, so right here, but like I'm currently doing streams of all the Final Fantasy VII games. So like the first Final Fantasy VII on PS1, then Crisis Core, then it's Dirge of Cerberus. So that's going to be like a soft reset for me. Like it's an exposure to it, but it's like I'm playing it for the first time, even though I'm not. You know what I mean? Um, so I am looking forward to that, but uh, the rumor where you've heard about Dirge of Cerberus, how it's kind of shitty. As of this moment, I can't deny it. It looks terrible.
Oh, again, it's not. I'm not so much saying that. Oh, it's shit or something. Like I played it as much as you have. Like I didn't finish it. I didn't finish it because, again, it's. If Crisis Core made some of you Final Fantasy VII fans like very like odd because of its mechanics, Dirge of Cerberus is just worse on that regard because it goes out of its way to be a completely different thing.
No,
And
it's completely different. Like whatever you guys thought you were Fantasy Seven, forget about it. It's literally nothing like it. Like it to put things into best perspective, it's kind of like going from Kingdom Hearts 1. You know what I mean?
yeah,
You go
from
you
from the
go from
first
an
one to
action
Chain of Memories,
RPG,
yeah, from the first.
and then boom, like you're just hit with a completely different game style. I'm assuming absolutely nothing about. Thing is, though, you would think that I'd like Dirge of Cerberus because, well, I played 007 Agent Under Fire, really young actually, and it was practically the exact same playstyle. I don't know why I didn't get into it. Maybe it was because it was
I
maybe it
mean,
was because it was
there's
free,
still
and at
like an
that point
entire
I
tone
was like,
shift comparing those two games, like given lore,
no, it
context,
is.
level design, or at least level concepts, and
See,
all.
that's what I feel like it was, because at that point, like, I was still playing games like Sonic Heroes. So
Yeah.
going into Dirge of Cerberus, the heck is this? This is too much for me. I can't. This is too dark and this is too gritty. Nowadays, I'm known for liking the dark and you guys for calling me edgy and emo and shit.
For
But
mhm.
you're not wrong. But you're not wrong.
Well, there you go. With that said, like, in my case, I played the original, like all three games. I played them through the HD versions. Like if I'm honest, like got them on
Play
Steam.
them, I'll admit.
Yeah, and I wanted to get them on the Switch, but that's a different story. And I played the remake because as of right now, at the time of this recording, March of the entirety of March 2021, the game is free on fucking PlayStation Plus. Like for this entire month, which for reasons that I'm gonna bring up later, this is a big deal. Aside from just the obvious part that Final Fantasy 7 Final Fantasy 7 remake for free, like just like that on on PlayStation Plus, like what the shit. um,
There's actually multiple. But I think that the big reason why this is like a good thing is because, well, the game hasn't even been out for a solid year, and it's already on PlayStation Plus for free. And because you'd be able to get it on PS4 if you guys have a PS5 and stuff. One out as a re-release on the PS5, you get that upgrade.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna mention later on, but no, like again, that
Oh,
is
my
a
bad.
good reason. Like this, if you are in any form of capacity, like even if you're like, oh, I'm gonna wait later for to get the Yuffie stuff, which we'll talk about that later, because yeah, um, there then get the game. At least add it to your library to the PlayStation Plus services, and just have it because even if you're not super interested on it, it's Final Fantasy VII. I think there's when it comes to PlayStation, it you cannot think if you cannot think of Final of Metal Gear Solid or Spyro or Crash Bandicoot, you think of Final Fantasy VII. When it comes to the PlayStation library and what made the console as iconic as it is today. So
It
you
was
can do
also
your
a really big
go,
because around that time, Final Fantasy games were strictly Nintendo. Like
yeah,
the original games were on the NES and
and SNES, yeah.
but after Final Fantasy VI, it went to PlayStation, and that literally is probably PlayStation almost as big as it is like other other games put a big deal on it, like you said, especially with Spyro, Metal Gear Solid, Twisted Metal, so many games that were on the PS1 revolutionized gaming as we do know it. Like when it comes to platforming, Crash Bandicoot and Spyro nailed it in that form, and RPG games were changed completely differently because of how impactful Final Fantasy VII and Metal Gear Solid was.
I
Like
have
those
always
games.
I have always been on the fence of how, like, even when it comes to just the turn-based stuff, Final Fantasy VII is, unlike Ocarina of Time. I think the Final Fantasy VII's biggest achievement was being the one that sold the best. Like, because when it comes to like
Mm,
I at least again I always speak only for myself, and once again, right and wrong at the same time. Like, like I think Final Fantasy VI is the most complex and best turn-based RPG of that era. And if you want to ask me like, oh, then okay, if that's the best, then what? But as a first-time player, which one should I get? Should I get 7? No, you should get 9. Like 7 is just a big deal, but I don't think it's the best Final Fantasy game overall. However, as we're gonna go, like as this remake can even tell you, Final Fantasy VII is its own thing. Like I think that like you can be a Final Fantasy fan as much as you can be a Final Fantasy VII fan. Like this particular world of this entire lore has its own identity. Like you can pretty much remove all 15 games except like including like by that I'm including 16 when it comes out. Like 7 is its own beast, and it's always been for a very long
the
time.
reason why I feel like, okay, my personal take, the best way I can describe the original Final Fantasy VII at least is that because it had its own lore and storyline and games and stuff, I always saw it as like a game that if you're not a Final Fantasy fan, like a strictly casual Final Fantasy fan, you could get into Final Fantasy VII and be happy with that and not even give the other games a second thought. But if you're like a big fan of Final Fantasy 4 or especially 6, like
6 is
6
always
is
gonna be
seen
the
as
one
the
that I think is the
major
best.
popular. Yeah, many people consider it the best. I them. But like that's for like big Final Fantasy stuff. Like if you're a fan of Final Fantasy in general, your favorite game is most Fantasy 6. But the casual crowd, that's where they go straight to Final Fantasy 7. And albeit like what you said, I think it's one of those kind of games that you can pick up and you can get invested in it quickly. I personally haven't played Final Fantasy 7 9. Oh god, I hope 7 and 9. But I haven't played Final Fantasy. God, I keep almost saying 7. I haven't played Final Fantasy 9 at all. But I know that like I can take your word for a bunch of those things. I don't know if it's easy to pick up, but actually I started their Final Fantasy journey with 10.
Really?
A lot of people started with 10. I
Hmm.
think it was a launch title for the PS2. No,
It
I don't
was.
think it was a launch
It
title,
was at least.
but
I think it was
it
at least launch window. Or again, I could be wrong about that. Actually, don't quote me on that.
well because like well because like well it's also because like we said if you brought up the PlayStation 1, your mind probably Cocoon or Final Fantasy 7 and stuff. When you bring up the PlayStation 2, some people will bring up GTA San Andreas or Vice City. Some people will bring up Front and Battlefront 2. Some people will bring up Final Fantasy 10.
Yeah, if it's not Final Fantasy VII, it's Kingdom Hearts. Again, depending on who you're at, who you're talking to.
Is huh?
Or, but yeah, no. Like, again, I agree with what you're saying. Like, but again, like like, that's always been my kind of take with Final Fantasy VII as a whole. But once again, when it came to the remake, back when it got announced like 8 years ago, 8 or 7 years ago, it it was a no shocker because everybody knew that Final Fantasy VII was one of those games that kind of even I will say that even needed a fucking remake, uh, in or like for the sake of getting things right, for like given how the game itself in terms of execution, story, writing, narrative, character interaction, like everything could have been improved, despite already being very
Oh
good,
yeah.
very good, and also kind of a showcase for why video games are or can be just as impactful as any other forms of media, like literacy and uh, like radio, television, like all these other impactful forms of storytelling. So, like alongside Metal Gear Solid and all, like it was more a matter of the technology not being quite
All I
there.
do is win, win, win.
Yep,
It's
but
just
and I'm gonna bring up we're gonna bring him up in a bit. But when the remake came out, I was not the most hooked into it because, like I said, I'm not the most into Final Fantasy. I again by that time I ended up buying because I think they were around the same time of release. I ended up being one of those people that got Animal Crossing for on the Switch. But I always knew that if I wanted to really talk about this game, I needed to play it. Even watching all the cutscenes or knowing all the story, like it wasn't gonna be enough. I needed to play this game because it was a completely unique fighting style, even comparing it to something like Kingdom Hearts, as well as just just for the sake of discussion. Like I may not be the biggest aficionado on a topic, but whenever I talk about something, I at least consume it enough, if not all of it, in order to form my full thoughts on it. And by the time of this recording, I did beat the story mode. I fought the secret boss Bahamut, and I got all my characters to level 50, which is the max level cap in this game, which doesn't quite make sense in retrospect. I think you could have allowed the people to go that extra gap, but again, it really doesn't matter. And it's gonna.
something tells me, I don't know why, but something tells me that like they're probably when part two releases, for some reason, I just feel like they're going to make it to where your save file from the original version is actually going to carry over and increase that level gap. I don't know,
I have a hard time to
because
believe in.
that is something that the original PS1 version did. Like once you finish disc one, boom, pop in disc two. You still
Well,
got
yeah,
your
but it
save
was.
file. You
But
still
yeah,
have
but
everything.
here's the thing. This game in particular, it's a full on game. Like it's like
Yeah, true, true, true.
it's not like unlike the original, which all three discs made the one game. um, like even though you can still say I made the argument that all three discs were specific chapters or specific acts of the story itself, but again, they were all the same cohesive thing. With that, and so again, regarding the this game in particular, like Final Fantasy VII Remake as a whole, is actually I will say once again, for first of all, If you don't even have the game on your library, if you have PS Plus, do yourself a favor and get it. It is really worth just having it because, like, no matter
It
what I
is.
say here, I cannot say that you be wasting your time by playing the game. Hell, like, and if you find chances of a price drop, then hell, get it anyway. Like, I genuinely think that if you're a fan of RPGs,
Right now
especially
at GameStop, it's like $100.
there you go. Um, so there's again there are whatever I'm gonna say after like in this conversation, whatever we're gonna say, that doesn't change the fact that we do recommend you to play it. Like especially getting it for free, it's a fucking steal no matter what. Especially given the whole aspect of how this particular remake is once again episodic. Like it's not so like it's gonna be technically the whole 3 disc or several disc situation, but every disc is a fully fleshed out game. Like it's imagine the Insane Trilogy having 3 discs for each game. To give an example, to give
Mm-hmm.
and so with that said, I like again for first major impressions. I think visually and narrative wise, like visually, performance wise, and just about and gameplay wise, the game is really fucking amazing. I genuinely enjoyed this game. I enjoyed it more than the original remake, and no, than the original game as a whole. Given, but once
Oh, that's no shocker.
again, here's the like some people before you guys say that no, it's not because of the whole turn-based situation or action versus turn-based. I don't mind any of the two gameplay styles. I can get into them quite
Am I the
easily.
only person who like
hmm
the turn-based combat in the original game? Like, am
I
I one of the only people that actually enjoys it?
no. I can see that. I can see why. Again, and once again,
Well,
you can play
not
it.
saying no, like you don't like it or anything.
Look, and once again, you can play it like the original because the main 3 modes are easy, normal, and classic, which is pretty much turn-based. uh, like although you are still traveling in a more three-dimensional environment rather than 2D weird map-looking thing going on. Uh, like when it comes to exploring the areas and all. So, but once again, I'm just going into the fact that they really go out of their way to flesh out every single aspect of every character as much as they could. However, as the story goes on, there are certain things that will make you either super excited or pissed off as all hell, and you're gonna be grateful that you can get this game for free right now, or because you don't want to support this thing financially. Because um, so with that said, Um, just to give an idea, the game itself covers pretty much the entirety of Disc 1 by fleshing out Midgar and the story events that take place on that through that entire section of Midgar, like the falling of the blade, the reveal of the situation regarding Shinra, the whole social commentary regarding environmentalism, and just all those things, which in this game is actually more clear. Like the whole social commentary is, I won't say in your face because it was in your face also in the original, but this one actually takes its time to make it important. Like you actually feel like, oh, this matters in the world of Final Fantasy.
And what helps that so much is that unlike the original where it was just polygons and text, you actually see, the facial expressions of the characters. And may I actually point out that, like, there's a lot of moments where it's just like the characters don't speak, and you already can tell that, like, shit is either serious or that they're worried or something. Like, you can tell a lot of emotion from a character without having to speak at all. And this game, I feel, does it perfectly because, like, instead of some games where just like talk it out and stuff. Like especially when the plate hits, practically no words are said, and you can still feel the impact more than you ever could if it because it's not text anymore. Like I will admit, in the original game, everything felt rushed when it came to the avalanche. Before they escaped Midgar, everything leading up to the plate drop in the remake felt supernatural, and it felt warranted and stuff because not only that, this game gives time and effort to like dwell into the extra characters like Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge. Those characters got so much screen time the remake. So when their deaths inevitably did happen, well, somewhat,
We'll get there.
then yeah, that's why I said somewhat. Then that's when you really feel what just happened, and they let it sink in before actually saying anything about it, which I greatly appreciate too.
Yeah, like for me, it's majorly it's actually that final part. It just fleshed out the entirety of this one. It just went nuts about it. It added as much as it could to every element regarding Midgar and its inhabitants, because once again, in the original, you will like, and we're gonna say that a lot because in this case, it does matter, like to start making those comparisons, because this game goes out of its way to like really make you compare it and to pay attention to the differences here and there uh, from the PlayStation One version and this one. So, with that said, like just the fact that you have the landlord of the building where Tifa and Cloud live, the fact that you get to see every one of the inhabitants of the sector, as well as helping them out throughout the entirety of the game, like with side quests or getting to talk with them, like you're getting to see more than just Team Avalanche, Tifa, Cloud, and the main characters. Like you get to see that everything you do has an impact in the world, which is really important
And may
for.
I just point out some?
Mm-hmm.
I was just gonna say, like, and can we just like point out like how well they actually handled Cloud's character in this? Like, in the original, let's be totally blunt here. Yes, depending on what choices, especially you made him do or say, because like back then you were like really in control of Cloud. Compared to this one, where it's like Cloud usually makes his own decisions, you just give him that little boost instead of like straight up telling him
You just
what
give
he's
him a
gonna choose and
moral.
what he's gonna do.
You give him a moral compass on
But
how he's gonna
one
react
scene in
instead of.
particular that I really appreciate that they added in the remake was what's it called? It was when it was in chapter 3 where oh crap.
What?
Sorry about that. Like my connection gets like super weird stuff. How much of that did you hear?
Almost everything.
Okay, so you know that
Chapter
you know in
3.
it was in chapter 3, and you know how it was like, let's just say Cloud and Barrett weren't exactly getting along even during that time,
Yeah.
but that's still, and like Cloud was an asshole and stuff. No matter what you decided to do, he was still an asshole to Barrett and Tifa and everybody like that. But when when that gang decided to like say, where's the dude with the gun arm, Cloud doesn't like say, oh, he
Yeah.
lives like there. He's just like, that depends.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're gonna help him, I'll gladly tell you, but if you're gonna hurt him, I'm gonna have to kill you. So that little interaction already speaks volumes on what kind of character that Cloud is. He's an asshole, sure, but deep down he does care about the people that he with and stuff, and he does show that kind of respect, even though he tries to keep it hidden and stuff.
I always saw it, and we did talk about this, like as I was playing the game. Like, I always saw like this, not like, oh, he's an asshole, but deep down he has a good heart. No, he's a good person trying really fucking hard to be cool. Like, just like, and I think there was some interviews with the co-director of the game, like, which is also the main writer for this. Like, he has mentioned how he wants to make Cloud. Again, don't really quote me too much on this one, but I can see the argument anyway. Um, Cloud is a 20-year-old person and is a 16-year-old dude in a 20-year-old's body. Like he is that fucking guy trying to be a very cool teenager, keeping a serious tone and that everything is under control. When in reality, like inside, he's just fucking losing it. like what?
Well, yeah, well, because like you gotta like, I don't know if moment yet. I mean, like I'm sure you know where I'm going with this. So if you want me to hold off on it for a little bit later, I
Oh no,
can.
and without going too much into it, because
Oh,
again,
okay.
like the game itself, even by chapter 3, does make it clear, like no, the guy has some fucked up shit in his mind, and they even establish in this particular.
Oh no, what I meant was no, what I meant is that like in the original game, yeah, no, incident stuff. Cloud was only 16 and stuff, and then a couple of years passed by and he's done in shit. So he never got the chance to like really mature like that. Like he's still a kid. Like if you think about it,
Oh
the dude
no,
is still a kid.
I completely
He just
understand
like
that.
is just like 21 years old.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that element. It's just mainly on the fact that once again, like you're still putting a person like on a situation like he's very skillful, he's very and he's also being told very clearly that hey, you're being a fucking dick, and you tone it down, and he's like no. They're like you're gonna have to pay me for that. They're like no, fuck off. Like when like it was on chapter 3 and other moments throughout that, like when you before that whole section, you're still hanging around with Tifa and all. Like where no, like, I like this, like the way he interacts with people, and he's willing to help no matter what, at least for a good price. But
Yeah,
like whenever he's put in a situation, he doesn't really decline at all. It's just that whenever he's like, oh, there's a
yeah.
moment of panic, and he's intentionally like just keeping himself cool, like chill, like you know that the guy doesn't know what he's doing, but he can't just refuses to put off the facade, which again I can completely understand in terms of character. But as we have said previous on other situations, like yeah, we understand. Doesn't mean that he's a good character or a likable guy in those particular points of the story. Like
I will say, I'm not saying like this justifies his behavior at all, but like, you also gotta like keep in mind and stuff why he keeps himself so secluded and soft and stuff. Remember, he doesn't remember Zach or any. So we have to like go back even further from that to his childhood. The dude was bullied. It's pretty clear he didn't have a father
bullied
growing up. So
and framed
even in
for
the
murder,
original,
and framed, or at least framed for attempted murder.
wait, where did frame for murder come from?
The whole where people think that he was the one responsible for putting Tifa in danger when they were kids.
Okay, well, yeah, that part as well, and on top of that, the kids that was friends with Tifa, including Tifa herself, didn't exactly include Cloud in their group, which made Cloud feel insecure to the point where he even said, "No, screw them. I'm just they're too immature for me, anyways." And I feel like that's where the whole facade of I'm just trying
Oh
to be
no,
cool and act like this comes from, and that it's understandable, and that does explain why he does try to like seclude himself and be a solid introvert.
oh no,
But
and trust
although
me.
he still acts like a dick, he's not. He's still a good person. He
Oh
just
no,
has a weird way of acting.
it's once again those moments where like no, there are just times where I just think like you really need to be that way, but to this particular
Oh, of
situation, to
course.
this particular person in this particular situation, like you're clearly in a safe zone. Like nobody's gonna hurt you. Like I understand that when it's Barrett, because Barrett also keeps himself on a very high regard, given the fact that no, like he is the leader, he is the one that truly believes in his ideals. I'm gonna make this comparison for those that are kind of interested into it, but in your typical story about somebody trying to be a community, unlike other characters where he's just putting that facade in order to be the one on top at the end of the day. No, he genuinely is an environmentalist. Like he genuinely cares about his message and what he wants
No,
to do.
Barrett for sure is like straight up like, no, what I believe in is what I nothing's really gonna change that. Politicians in a nutshell.
Yeah,
But I
no,
mean,
no,
political
but
stuff aside.
no, I will actually go into that point where like he's not so much into into a political stuff, but more like environmentalist. But instead of being PETA or Greenpeace, he actually fucking believes in what he says and what he knows. Like he is not just somebody trying to make an image. Like like he's not like he again. I'm gonna bring this specific example because it's the one that I know. He's not Dutch from the Red Dead Redemption series. Like he's not somebody that wants to be on top but claiming to be better than politicians because he represents an idea. But no, he is a selfish asshole at the end of the day. Barrett is the complete opposite of that, where no, he does believe in his message, and you can tell that he always keeps everything in consideration and everybody in mind before making decisions. And if there's a situation like the whole falling off the plate, he will step up and be willing to take all the bullets instead of you taking them if it's necessary. Whereas other groups
That's how he's like a true leader and stuff. Like
yeah,
he's not like forcing anybody to do this stuff, and he's sure as hell like not dictating anything. No, like if something goes wrong or something, he does take full responsibility and stuff.
exactly, and that's what I like about him. Like and once again, I love that they are making as sure as possible to tell no, the main villain, the villain of the story, or the main guy that we had to fight, like our direct antagonist is Shinra, because once again, the original, and I mentioned this because again, this particular part goes is mostly focused on Shinra because even in the original, Sephiroth doesn't show up until this two, like, and I mean that he doesn't really have a major presence until the end of this one, like the whole death of the Shinra president. But
Can we also say like one quick thing about Barrett?
yeah,
Can we just agree that he's probably the best video game dad of all time?
oh no fucking doubt. Again, this might be just the fact
that dude is just the best.
yeah, no, it might. I'm pretty sure you have been feeling this like recently because you're younger than I am, but you're exactly hitting that edge, like you're crossing that edge, like where things that you didn't think too much about back then, nowadays they make you cry because you're now understanding of what this is supposed to mean in a more relatable context. so like like you've seen Barrett being a great father and she's always his priority. She's always his main priority, like throughout the entirety of the fucking game. and when the whole thing with Aerith happens because of Marlene, he cares. Like he's just like, I'm very glad that she's okay, but because of that, I had to get my all to save this other person that gave her all to save you. Like there were multiple times
first
where
thing that Barrett says is like okay, Marlene's safe and all. We need to go save Aerith now. Like
yeah, exactly.
Now.
Like when it comes to that, like it's just a very good dynamic. Like and the way he behaves, the way he talks, the just overall aspect. Like you can tell that this guy has gone through a lot for the sake of her daughter, and he's gonna keep doing it. And once again, like Cloud as a whole, I like them, but you can tell, especially because this game really wants you to play the original anyway. Cloud is not the same as like because Cloud was very much Zack from in the original. Here you can tell that he is still kind of the guy that is a fan of Sephiroth or that learned more from Sephiroth than from Zack. like because
Okay, I have a whole tangent ready for that in and itself.
I mean, let me just before we go into that tangent, I just want to be
I'm
clear
gonna hear you
because
out first.
I think and you can say that I'm taking these references from Machina Bridge, but it kind of does it kind of is important to make the connotation that this is not Advent Children Cloud either. Like this is a Cloud that actually has more things going on with his life and a much bigger set of options for him to take. Like Advent Children, which
Hmm.
is you're gonna fucking die, fuck you. Uh, but once again, in the original Zack, I will know. I will say that Cloud was still a bit more colorful with his way of being and behaving, even at the earlier parts of the game, compared to this one. I will say that, like, he will still be as smart as and snarky, and somebody tried to put an image and all, but he will still be more like Zack in terms of, like, oh, I can make jokes here and there, and I can be playful or just say whatever because I am awesome, like things like that instead of here like whatever. I'm cool as hell. Like like that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. But go on with what you had to say regarding my thoughts on that.
Okay, personally, I'm just gonna go with the original first because remake I already have enough about to say. In terms of the whole Cloud is just a bit. I feel like I disagree. In the original because in the original it's harder to tell because said earlier, the remake just shows expression so much better, and you can get through a character's thoughts a lot better with their emotions and their facial reactions rather than words themselves. Like actions speak louder than words, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh no,
And
and to be fair, since the prologue, you know that this fucker is just a try hard. When he is when he is falling from the bridge, and he does a fucking stunt action, and Jesse's like, okay, that was cool as hell, and he's just like a very small and hidden smile because like, yeah, that's right, yeah, that's right.
yeah, but like going back to the thing, uh, in terms of him just being Zack, I disagree with that because all Cloud really got from the Mako poisoning and stuff and everything else was literally just Zack's memories of the Nibelheim incident. Like, if Cloud really retained just Zack's persona and stuff, he would have still remembered Aerith in general. He would have thought about his parents in Gongaga, especially because, like, you visit Gongaga, you visit Zack's parents in the Cloud would have recognized them if, like, he had those remnants of Zack really within him. And personality-wise, Cloud, although he makes smirky comebacks and stuff in the original, isn't on the scale of Zack. Now, granted, we didn't see much of Zack or hear much of Zack in the Crisis Core to fill those gaps in for us. But in terms of how Zack was, Cloud never got on that comedic view. Like, he wasn't as bright or cheerful even as like Zack was. Like, he wasn't, like, he was still, while Zack was the extrovert, basically the cooler, bigger brother to Cloud and stuff. Like, he was just more enthusiastic and stuff. Meanwhile, Cloud, throughout the entire in the remake, was always a little bit introverted. Now, yeah, he has like the comeback and stuff, but going back to how Cloud was instant, yeah, he was able to laugh. He was able to have, like, moments where he was just able to take a break from the action and just like have a laugh once in a while. So in that sense, yeah, he's and this goes back to the remake as well. Like, he can be a show off. He's definitely a show off, but not on Zack was. Where in the beginning of Crisis Core, Zack just jumps out of a helicopter and starts doing a bunch of flips and just like showing off in front
And
of
jumping off
everybody
a
in a
fucking
simulation.
train while praying to the
Cloud does
fucking
it strictly
sword.
because, well, that's just what he remembers being able to do and stuff, aka being an ex-soldier. He's just kind of used to doing that kind of stuff in his own mind.
Yeah.
So the whole thing with him just acting like Zack, no, I because Zack is still his own person, and Cloud only having the Nibelheim incident memories and being in Soldier are just memories. a persona at all.
Again, I can at least say that no, this game handles him to be a bit more on the serious side than somebody that can like we said like have a laugh and all like and I once again I go with tryhard because again this is the same motherfucker that just for the sake of looking cool like he will tell some kids like okay it's gonna be 3,000 gil. What? But we only have a piece of bread. I'll take half of it. I'll take like 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 he is that kind of person that you're like wow you're or when he tells the old man like hey here's the key you go give it to it. But what about my legs? Gonna cost you extra. Like really, like fuck off, dude. Like fuck off. Like it's just like the kind of those kind of attitudes that are like, okay, this is different, but again, not Advent Children different, which was the major concern given Nomura. Like, and once again, I'm not a Nomura hater. I don't even think that the guy is as bad as some people will say, but I do agree when they say that he is in a similar realm as other writers. He's just like okay this is my idea, I'm done with this idea, what's my follow-up, what's my continuation to this, I'm gonna make shit up as I go along. Like and once again it's not something
Are
that
you
I'm
saying that like Cloud's emo in Advent Children?
again those are examples but I'm go and the whole writing as you go along is not something that I dislike by default. But again one of my favorite writers Akira Toriyama would manage to make an impactful story, or at least a very interesting and accessible one, through Dragon Ball, with by writing as he went along. Granted, I think that Nomura is more like he doesn't have that much foreshadowing or foresight as even Toriyama will have. Like the guy will just think of the next game and that's it. Like he will rarely think of okay, this is gonna matter for this game. No, this matters this game, and let's see what happens next. And let's see. Um, but again, with that
Kingdom
said,
Hearts prepared me for that shit too much, and
yeah,
I hate that I admit that.
and once again, I have my things to say about this story, but let's talk about the other really great character in this case that managed to keep me on her side no matter what. Tifa Lockhart. Tifa, I fucking love her personality in this game. I like she's bubbly and sweet, but she's a bit on the quirky side of things. Like she is like if Cloud is a bit of a show off or no if Cloud is a tryhard, Tifa is is more of the actual show off if you ask me. Like she is all about like being bubbly and sweetie with people and just being present all around and all, you know.
Mm.
Like, and gameplay wise, uh, yeah, let's actually go into the gameplay. Obviously, Cloud is
Yeah, let's go into gameplay a little
like
bit.
Cloud is mainly your balance guy. That he's never gonna be the best over everybody, unless you're talking about somebody that is capable of handling almost every situation, at least enough to keep himself safe. Like he can do magic, but not as good as Eret, but enough to keep himself alive. He can deal really damage on a proper distance, but not as much as Barret. And he has a lot of combos, but not as much as Tifa. Like he is a bit of everyone. But when everybody else shines, he does the job. Like he gets the job done on everything that the other ones are masters on their specific areas. If you ask me.
Yeah, I agree.
Meanwhile, I think Barrett take a. I honestly cannot say that I can enjoy Barrett up until after you do the whole thing with Eret, because I think you told me this on the ends. Like it's not until he has the Big Bertha ability, which is him pretty much spamming the fucking gun until you're dead, to where I actually felt that he was a proper asset to the team. Like
That's true.
he's good at distance, but his shots are like 3 or 4 points of damage each. But when you get Big Bertha, which once again is, we're talking like over halfway into the game, like past halfway into the game, like
Hmm.
like that's when he really becomes an interesting character for me to play with, like because he is very like his combos and all are very strong, and I will dare say that his uh MP abilities are on par with Eret if you know how to properly use him, because he's a fucking tank, so he can take his time on healing you and taking care of everyone else. um in fact
That's what I mean. I use Barrett as like my secondary healer if Aerith's not on the team.
Yeah, in fact, if you know what you're doing, Barret can be the only character to take on Bahamut's biggest attack. Like from what I understand. But once again, like he is good because he's a tank. Like he can multitask while being shot in the face multiple times. He can uh but that's his biggest thing. Like he and it's not even a matter of like, oh, he has the highest defense. No, he just has the biggest health bar of all. Like he can take shots like nothing else. Um, and Tifa, it wasn't until Endgame where I knew what the fuck her gameplay was about. The whole unbridled ability, I didn't really know how to use it until I was doing the post game stuff, clearing off the materia intel. For Chadley, I think was his name, or Charlie, I don't fucking know. um, like the little cyborg guy, and
The cyborg guy.
again, there's the one that gives you the whole intel missions, like, oh, uh,
Oh, Chadley.
Chadley, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, yeah. And like he had those. Like it wasn't until then I knew what her fucking deal was, and even by the time that happened, I was still having a fucking blast. She became my favorite character to play with, and she is really good. Well, she should be your main priority when it comes to the blue elemental materia, because if your proper element is the weakness of somebody, then you're pretty much guaranteed to stagger your enemy with ease, because she can just do the weakness like nobody's business, even more than Cloud. And if you know how to use her combos, she might as well be your go-to character, because she also has very good MP abilities. It's just the fact that I think she, well, again, since she has no range, she is directly at your body with her attacks. Then she's the one that's gonna get hurt the most because you're exposing her to the risk the most. Meanwhile, Eret, who we haven't mentioned yet in terms of personality, because I want to address everything else first, like story wise, she is a fucking glass cannon, but the cannon is a fucking nuke. If you know what bullets to put on her, you know, like
Yeah, no kidding. Especially when you use Ray of Judgment. Oh my god, if you use that ability correctly, it could be broken.
it can be fucking broken. And I managed, like by using the steel materia on the ghost boss, I managed to get her mithril rod for free.
That's what I'm talking.
Yep. Like there are, and I think there's another one that you can get for free. Like again, she's the only one that really has uh weapons that you can get by stealing from the characters. Otherwise, the steel materia was honestly fucking me pointless. Like you really don't need it. Like aside from I think a few missions for Chadley, or maybe that's just the access materia, but that's whatever. Um, with that, and once again, what my go-to team ended up becoming Tifa, Aerith, and Cloud, of course. Which one ended up being yours?
Wait, what now?
Which ended up being your main party?
My main party. Honestly, it kind of mixed matches because of the chapters and stuff. But usually, my default team is Cloud, Aerith, and Barrett.
Oh, okay.
Mostly because also, okay, I'm just gonna be honest here. In the original game, pre-Aerith death, it was always Cloud, Aerith, and Barrett. And then when I played Disc 2 and onwards, it was all and Barrett. Mostly because I like having the mage on my team, because like Their magic abilities just do damage if you use them correctly and stuff. And since Aerith was the mage in FF7 Remake, I always had to like have her on my team and stuff because of that. Barrett was there for defense, and Cloud was always there for like offensive strats. So technically, Aerith was basically the dom. Barrett was the goofy for me, and Cloud was the Sora for me. If that makes sense.
Like, and I was gonna say that like gameplay wise, that's probably the best comparison you can give because goddamn, do they not know how to follow directions, or do they just have whatever AI on their fucking brains? Because again, this was only very present in the Bahamut fight, like the secret boss fight, and but with that fight, and you're like, okay, the strategy was this: I'm gonna put this circle, the Arcana Wand ability from Aerith, so she can double cast spells on the boss fight. But as soon as I remove her from my control, like and I like just say that I switch to Cloud or Tifa so they can go to the wand, she will just fucking get out of there and try to fight him physically, and I'm like, what the fuck is your problem? What the like you're like we made this thing for a reason.
Yeah.
Like the AI is not the worst thing ever. I played with worse AIs, but goddamn, and you're like, there's first of all, there's no way to really customize it, unlike Kingdom Hearts, where you can at least tell them to prioritize healing you or being defensive or being offensive, like whatever.
That's what I mean. Like going off topic a little bit in Kingdom Hearts 2, everybody keeps saying, "Oh my god, Gon never heals me and stuff." Well, then make it to where he only heals people in certain situations. If you do that, he'll cure you all the time because Goofy's already fucking dead.
And keep in reference to Kingdom Hearts, this game also has that fucking thing with the auto cure materia. That fucking annoying thing where like, okay, first of all, the auto cure materia, as the name says, if you give it to the character, they will automatically, like when they are non-controlled, when you're not controlling them, they will automatically try to heal you. But they will only care about the specific moment where you were low on health. If you do yourself a healing materia, you might as well just like a healing spell. You might as well consider that the other guy ended up spending their MP on healing you as well, and you're gonna be like, well, that was fucking pointless. But thank you, I guess.
honestly, I disagree with that because at least for me, I found it to where like if I'm at low health, I just kind of expected them to auto heal me anyway, so I didn't waste time with like waste ATB or MP slots on the other stuff, and I just used like a mega potion to get the rest of the health.
Again,
out.
keep in mind
I already assumed that like they were gonna heal.
Again, keep in mind that that those
and they usually did.
Keep in mind that those problems were majorly present in the Bahamut fight, where I expect them to do certain things. Like I'm just like, I gave you the fucking one, do the spell. No, don't fucking heal. Oh god damn it. Oh god. God damn it! Now we just got
the Bahamut fight was like it was just a mess. The Bahamut fight it was just a mess.
Like it's just like that's the major fight where you're gonna learn all of the problems with the mechanics and how the AI behaves and everything, because you expect certain, if the game expects perfection from your strategy, and then the game will fuck you over because of some coding situations regarding like I said, the AI when you're not controlling the other members of your party. So once again, there's that. But overall, the gameplay itself, it was smooth as butter. It didn't take me. By the time I was in chapter 2, I already mastered the fucking thing. I already knew how the mechanics were. I already knew how the characters will play, and it was easy to just pick up. It might be because, like I said, Kingdom Hearts guy over here as well. But this gameplay style is way better than Kingdom Hearts because it has a lot of weight to it.
No doubt.
Like it has a lot of Kingdom Hearts. It has a very good and functional gameplay style, but it's very more it's style over everything. Like style is its priority. Here is weight. Like you really like every punch, your positions, your like your attacks, your position, your angles, the level design overall. Like if you cast fire and you're behind a wall, the fucking fire is gonna go to the wall. You're not gonna hit the enemy. which is something that not a lot of games do when it comes to spelling issue when it comes to spelling mechanics and all of those things. That is a thing that like they every single thing in your surroundings and how you move matters within the game itself. Like in what characters you want to use, the timing, like the time that you're spending on doing certain things. Like it's just more intuitive and to a certain degree more demanding. That's probably the major thing. Like the game will at least make you keep consider like, okay, do you really want to do this, or would you rather think about it a little bit more, especially with boss fights like the Hell House, Bahamut, Sephiroth, the Genova, and there's one boss fight, and it's at the end before the one boss fight before Sephiroth. Like it's a giant robot. You're Aerith and Barrett and Red 13.
Oh, okay. I hated that boss
That thing was
fight.
worse
I
than the Hell
genuinely did.
House. I'm surprised that nobody talks about
hard,
that.
Not because like it's hard or anything. It's just that it just goes on
And on and on.
and on.
Like
it doesn't seem to end. Like I could use thunder materia on it so many times, and it'll still act like it didn't.
And in the
Really
in the
get
final
hit that
section,
much with it, even though it's effective.
and in the final section, for all I know, you cannot like on one the only kind of the quote unquote benefit that you get from that fight is that his one hit attack is also a guaranteed limit break. So if you have enough magic for like ethers and things for Aerith and Barrett is the one that dies, then therefore you got a guaranteed material, like a guaranteed thing. However, that fucker, I I had the unfortunate thing of giving Aerith the elemental materia on thunder or electricity. And so as what like no both Barrett and Aerith had the lightning material because it was my go-to element. Like I was doing the job just fine all throughout the game with lightning and fire as my go-to elements. That fucker was weak to both. Was like had attributes of those. Like his the damage was reduced on both. So I'm like this is gonna take a while. This is and it did.
Yeah, I still think okay. I would take the Hell House over that boss fight
Yeah.
any day of the week.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
any
I will
day.
say the same. Like if I'm being honest, because at least in the Hell House, you can kind of tell at the very least that oh you're being attacked is because you're not following the pattern. Here you're like, this thing is not taking any more, not enough damage. Like this thing is not getting enough damage. He hits like a fucking tank because it is. And his one hit
It literally is.
and his one hit kill, as far as I knew, is not something that you can actually stop. It's not like
No, the best way to do it, like this is my experience. Literally, what the game wants you to do is to go on the, and then at the last minute, literal last second before he unleashes that fire, that's when you got to get the hell out of there because while he's charging up that attack, pressure him, which in turn will stagger him. But you can't stagger him immediately, so you need to figure out when's the best time to get those attacks. Barrett, because if you try to do it with Aerith, it's just not gonna go well. It's just not. Then yeah, like you gotta get back on the defensive and hide behind the debris, which guess what, may or may not even be there.
may or may not. It won't be there because the fucking like the environmental things that you can use, like again like pillars and all. Those things have also health bars, quote unquote. Like they will only take a certain amount of shots before they also break. So you're gonna end up in a playing field. You're gonna so
or
again,
improvisation, which in this game, improvisation is never a fun time.
it's not a good
I'm
idea.
just gonna be honest here.
Like it's rarely a good idea. Like when it works, like I said, like there was a certain point, especially by the time I got into the battle simulators, where once again, like the major one that you can grind, which is 3 people versus 3, like with the Shinra machines. I just thought, okay, I'm gonna give Cloudfire and Tifa Lightning, and for the majority of the fights, those were the weaknesses, and I was just like, this is the best
Yeah.
fucking thing. Like you feel so happy, where like you feel satisfied with yourself by just having that extra thinking and being able to like pull that off, like because now you have the upper hand just because you were being creative, or your gameplay
I just
style
gotta
were
ask you a question, actually.
okay.
About this one boss fight. What'd you think of the Tomberry boss?
The
Or
Tomberry boss,
bosses, technically.
the what
Yeah, like,
now?
okay, so, like, it's not really a Tom... it's not really a boss, but, okay. You know that little green creature that has the lantern and the knife?
Oh,
That literally one-shots you
as
if you
soon
get
as I
stabbed by it?
realized that being in front of him was the worst thing, it became a piece of cake.
Yeah, no, like, people, like, okay. That thing was infamous, dangerously infamous in the original FF7 because at that time, there really wasn't an exact strategy to be used against him other than poison and legit just, like, literally just, like, don't do anything. Just waste time. He's not going to attack you in the original if you don't attack him. He's not going to do anything to you. He's just going to walk around. So your best option there is to just poison him and just like wait for something to happen. And if you use the manip MP at like his last moments, you'll get a ribbon. But so there's your little tip right there.
Yeah.
But in this game, that ability just like move around. So the best way to actually fight him is when he's focused on someone else, switch to another character and just go ham on him.
No, not
But if
even
he turns
that. Like
around and
just
starts focusing on you,
like even if it's focusing on you, just turn around. He is lower than you, so you can start like hitting it and just rolling and hitting it again. Like it really like it took me by surprise the first time because I'm like, oh shit, he does have like up until the final point. For some reason, like I was doing just fine until he was like 10% like left of health, and he started doing his one hit attack. So I'm just like, what the fuck happened there? But by the second time, I realized what the deal was, and I just okay, not attacking him from the front, just go around, and that's it.
yeah, that's it. Like just him from the in that 3D environment, it's so much easier to do that.
Yeah,
Like so much easier, which is a blessing because the amount of deaths I've had from a Tomberry in the original game is just no. Let's just say that dude was one of the main. I ended up like going back to a save point I did not want to get back to, and that was literally right in the northern cave.
yeah,
Not it deep. I mean outside the northern cave.
yeah. I don't know.
And that was never a fun time when I first played. Like, never.